Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. I am excited to be back. Hello, 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 guys. Today is January 20th, 2025, and we are back with another edition of Long Winded Donny Review. We are back for another edition of Long Winded Donny Review, where we actually take time and we break down the most up to date Donald Trump speeches, interviews, things along those lines. Just the stuff that you guys don't want to break down, I break that down so you don't actually have to do the work. I keep you informed so you don't have to actually worry about doing any of that. With that being said, Donald Trump today is officially day one of the Trump administration. Day one of the Trump administration, and I see that I have a little bit of a boo boo. So let's go ahead and fix that right there. Boom, there we go. A little bit of a boo boo, but we are all good, guys. As we get in on the TikTok side, I'm sorry, the Twitch side. Yep. Signed a 9-day. Now, actually, I think he signed a 75-day extension. I think he signed a 75-day extension. Yes. What up, Twitch? What up, YouTube? Yes, I will be streaming later on the TikTok side, and we will be on YouTube. We will be on Twitch. We will be on all of the social media apps later today. What's the green screen looking like that? Let's fix the green screen. There we go. Yes, we will be on all of the social media apps later, but we are here today for a long-winded Donny review, and Donald Trump has been all over the place today, right? And it's super important that we actually break this one down because Donald Trump was inaugurated. Well, not inaugurated. He's officially the president of the United States. He gave his inauguration speech. He did all of those things. So we are going to take a look at that. He gave a 30-minute and 3-second speech. 30-minute, 3-second speech, and we're going to break down what that actually looked like. So let's go ahead and get started, and we will try to keep this as smooth and quick as possible. The first thing that we have is big shout goes out, right? Donald Trump actually started with calling out, saying thank you to a lot of people, and basically getting to name the names as far as who is in the building. He shouted out J.D. Vance. He shouted out Mike Johnson. He shouted out Justice Roberts. He shouted out the whole Supreme Court justice. He shouted out all the former presidents that were in attendance, and he also shouted out VP Kamala Harris. Super interesting that he actually Barack Obama and Bill Clinton got booed at the inauguration. How classless can you be? How classless can you be? They got booed. So that happened. Followed by that, I have what I like to call I Like Gold, where Donald Trump said this is the golden age of America that starts now. And if anyone has seen any of those executive orders that he has passed already or signed, yeah, it's something, right? But the golden age of America, he said, starts now, and he talked about how the United States will be respected, that no one's going to take advantage of the United States. He also talked about how he's going to put America first and how he's going to actually restore sovereignty and safety and restore justice. He made a lot of bold claims. For someone who has not actually represented those factors. I plan on holding him accountable. So we will see. He also mentioned the Department of Justice. As we know, he feels like the Department of Justice has been weaponized against him. And so he will continue to actually name drop the Department of Justice and how he wants to reshape the Department of Justice because he feels like he was unfairly targeted, right? So there's that. He also said that he wants to make the United States more exceptional than ever before. That was an interesting thing. And he also talked about change. The change is going to sweep over the country. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, as you can tell, I'm doing this later in the day for anyone that's watching it back later. Like, he rolled out a ton of executive orders, and it's not good. With that being said, we moved on to the next thing that I like to call it's all bad, right? Donald Trump talked about how there's challenges that we will face. He said the government has a crisis of trust. I don't I don't I don't give Donald Trump too much credit for too many things, but I will give him credit for that statement, and I agree. I absolutely agree. Donald Trump definitely has a crisis. I'm sorry, the government definitely has a crisis of trust. The normal United States citizen doesn't trust the United States government. They haven't given us a reason to trust them. I don't think that we should trust Donald Trump, but for some reason his supporters trust him blindly. It's insane. I think they trust him because he calls out the fact that the government can't be trusted. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. George just asked, am I on TikTok too? I'm on TikTok. I'm not streaming live to TikTok right now. When I do these long-winded Donny reviews, this is only for Twitch and for YouTube. So when I do these, you can only find me on Twitch and YouTube. In the meantime, for the people that are watching me on Twitch and YouTube, if you're watching me on YouTube, go ahead and hit the like the YouTube stream. Also, if you're on the Twitch side, you can send bits. You can actually become a subscriber. But also, I need conversation on the Twitch side. I'm noticing that the Twitch side, the chat is moving kind of slow. It really helps actually boost the chat as well if we have constant communication. So I thank you guys for what you're putting in there. But let's keep the conversation going. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Thank you. Also, just a quick plug. If you're not following me on Blue Sky, on Twitch or YouTube, which they are all listed at the bottom, please consider following me on all of those. Thank you for the engagement on the Twitch side. That's important. And also the engagement on the YouTube side. All of that is important. I appreciate each and every one of you. With that being said, we move on. He was also talking about how basically the United States can't manage at home, but we're trying to manage other countries. He also talked about how we can't provide for the United States citizens, but we're taking care of immigrants. He talked about how there's unlimited funding to other countries. He then doubled down and also talked about how the people of North Carolina are in a bad spot and they're going to take care of them. He talked about what's happening in LA. He talked about how the wealthy were affected in LA. That was super interesting. He actually kind of had a change in pace, and he slowed down during his speech to talk about how the wealthy were actually affected in LA. And I've never seen him lend this much empathy to anyone. I'll just leave it at that. He talked about how the public health system is failing, which, again, I don't normally agree with Donald Trump, but I will give the devil his due. The public health system, not good, but I don't think that Donald Trump is actually going to fix it, right? Replacing the ACA, he's not going to do that. He also talked about how the education system is failing. We all know that the reason he did that is to prime the pump to get rid of the Department of Education. Yeah, he also called out that the education system is teaching hating ourselves and the country. Like, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. I don't know, but that's what he talked about. He then actually moved on to what I like to call gots to see it through, my boy. Gots to see it through, my boy, when he said that he has a mandate, which we know for a fact that he doesn't have a mandate based off of the way that the election broke. But Donald Trump will continue to actually talk about how he has a mandate when he really doesn't. The next thing that I have here is stop the bleeding, right? And that's where he talked about America is in a decline. He said that our glorious destiny will no longer be denied. Hey, Twitch chat, I got a question. YouTube chat, I got a question. Is it just me, or does that sound like some supervillain shit? Like some evil supervillain language? Our glorious destiny will no longer be denied. Is it just me? Am I bugging? I feel like I might be, but you tell me, am I bugging? He said our glorious destiny will no longer be denied. Yep. We then move on to what I like to call mini man. Wish death upon me. Donald Trump said over the last 8 years, he's been tested and challenged more than any president in our 250-year history. Donald Trump loves being a victim. I'm sorry, Donald Trump loves being a victim. MAGA loves being a victim. Like it's a thing. It's a thing. Whatever. He talked about how they tried to take his freedom. He talked about how they tried to take his life. Then he talked about how they tried to take his ear. Like whatever. And then he doubled down and said that God saved him to make America great again. He said that's why he was not killed, because God wanted him to make America great again. Whoa. Okay. Anywho, we then move on to what I like to call Big Hammer. He actually said that the United States is going to meet every crisis with dignity, power, and strength. It's so interesting how he feels like every single situation needs to be handled with power and strength, but whatever. The next thing he talked about is protect you no matter what. He says citizens will have peace. He said we'll have peace, and he said that today, apparently, I didn't know. I thought today was MLK Day. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. But he said apparently today is Liberation Day. January 20th, 2025 is apparently Liberation Day. Yeah, so there's that. Chat, am I wrong? I could have sworn today was MLK Day. And also, if you haven't said it to anybody, drop it in the chat. Tell everybody happy MLK Day. Tell me happy MLK Day. No one has said that to me today, so I'm gonna say that to you. Happy MLK Day. Say it back to me. Right. With that being said, we continue to actually move on to what I like to call FAFO. FAFO. Donald Trump said that the 2024 election will be the most consequential election in U.S. history, and I agree. Not for the reasons that he thinks, but I completely agree. He said that he talked about the people that voted for him. He talked about the swing states that voted for him. He talked about winning a popular vote. He talked about black people in the Hispanic community. He talked about MLK, and then he talked about MLK, and then he said that he's going to make MLK's dream come true. Donald Trump said that he's going to be the harbinger of MLK's dream. Does anyone else believe that one? I feel like it's far-fetched, but maybe I'm off base. Maybe I'm tripping. That's what he said. The next thing that I have here, and we like to call no Will Smith movie. It's not the pursuit of happiness. He said it's the pursuit of excellence. He said that we're going to have a pursuit of excellence, and he said he won't forget the Constitution. He won't forget our country, and he won't forget our God. And the only thing that I had to say when he said that was, which God? Which God are we talking about? Because not everybody in our country prays to the same God. And, certain people like to say, well, this country was founded on Christianity. No, it's not. This country was founded on the freedom to pursue whatever religion you wanted. They actually fled from religious persecution and overtaxation, right? The founders of this country quite literally were atheists. So no, this country wasn't founded on Christianity. I mean, you have the ability to actually praise whichever God that you want. And it's super interesting. He said our God. And I'm just wondering, like, who's God? Who's God? Then we have what I like to call power of the pen. Power of the pen. He said that he will sign executive orders. And again, I am doing this late in the day. And Donald Trump, if nothing else, meant that shit. When he said that he was going to sign executive orders, he is letting them fly. He said that he was going to sign executive orders. He said this is the revolution of common sense. He said that he was going to declare a national emergency at the southern border. He said that all illegal entry will be stopped. He said he's going to do mass deportation. He said he's going to reinstate remain in Mexico. He said he's going to end catch and release. He said that he's sending troops, our United States military, to the southern border. And he also said that he was going to reclassify the cartel as a terrorist group. I have never seen someone have this much smoke for one particular group, and that's the people coming through the southern border. We don't want to talk about the northern border at all. Like, forget about the northern border. It's only the southern border. He's only doing this with the southern border. What if Canada has this type of smoke for their southern border? What if Canada decides our southern border, no bueno? I don't know. Anyway, with that being said, he actually did something. He said that he is going to invoke the Aliens Enemy Act of 1798. And for people who don't know what that actually is, because it's a big deal. It's a big deal that he actually said that he is going to do this, right? So there's a great NPR article that talks about what the Aliens Enemy Act of 1798 is. The Alien Enemy Act of 1798, and it breaks down what this actually does. And basically, for all intents and purposes, there's something super important here that I want you guys to see. I apologize. 1 second here. There's here. What's the purpose of the Aliens Enemy Act? Specifically allows the president to detain, relocate, or deport non-citizens from a country considered an enemy of the U.S. during wartime. Right? Hey, chat, can you guys put in the chat who you think this enemy will be? I would love to see your guess. Who do you guys think this enemy will be? I'm super interested to find out who this enemy will be. Donald Trump is actually doing this so he can use this to help push forward his mass deportation. Point blank, period. It's all about his mass deportation. He's going to classify different people as enemies or Starscream. The question was, who do you think he's going to label as enemies of the United States in order to actually follow through with the Alien Enemies Act of 1798? He's gonna classify brown people as enemies. That's what he's gonna use. That's what he's gonna do. The next thing I have here is Legion of Doom, where he actually said that his cabinet will be marshal their powers to defeat inflation and bring down cost. That's what he said. That's what they're gonna do. He then talked about how inflation was caused because of overspending. We know for a fact that inflation was caused because of COVID, also because of supply chain issues, and not only greedflation, but shrinkflation. And those actual factors really hit us over the head to cause a lot of inflation. He then actually said that he's declaring a national emergency so he could actually drill, baby, drill, right? That was his whole thing. And I would like to point out the fact that the United States is actually drilling at a level. One, we're drilling at the highest level that we have ever drilled before. But two, we actually can't drill more, right? So again, another great NPR article that actually talks about what does that mean. It breaks down the different things that we are currently doing within the United States, and also the drilling level, the fact that we are drilling at such a high level. We're drilling at historical levels. We're drilling at an historical level. There's no more drilling that we can actually do at a higher level. It's nonsensical. Donald Trump is lying to you all. But whatever. That's what he said that he wants to do, and, you know, that's what he's going to do. He also talked about how America will be a manufacturing country, right? He said we're going to go back to a manufacturing nation. He said that we will be a rich nation again because of the liquid gold. Yeah. And then he also said something interesting, and I think that people need to know this because this is like the dumbest talking point ever. It drives me insane that people keep talking about this. But Donald Trump said that we are going to end the Green New Deal. we're going to end the Green New. He's going to sign an executive order to end the Green New Deal. Chat, put it in the chat real quick if you think that Donald Trump is going to be able to end the Green New Deal. I need to see your answers. Yes, no, yes. Do you guys think that Donald Trump will be able to end the Green New Deal? YouTube, Twitch, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Do you think that Donald Jimothy Trump is going to be able to end the Green New Deal? Interesting. I see some people saying yes. I see some people saying yes. Let me tell you why Donald Trump is not going to end the Green New Deal. This is why Donald Trump is not going to end the Green New Deal. S.1229 Green New Deal. This actually talks about the Green New Deal that was actually introduced. Its environmental effects in healthcare sector, particularly with vulnerable populations, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, the Green New Deal was never passed. It was never passed. It was never passed. It was introduced. It was never passed. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I think this is the wrong one. Hold on. Sorry. I think this might actually be the wrong one. Green New Deal. Where is it? You know what? I'll post it later. I'm sorry. But long story short, the Green New Deal is actually not in place. It's not in place. That's why he can't actually end it. They've been using the Green New Deal as a boogeyman, but it's not something that is currently in place. It was never passed, right? The Green New Deal was never passed, and that's where that issue actually lies, right? But he said that he's going to end the Green New Deal. He also talked about how he's going to be revoking electric car mandates, and he's going to save the auto industry. Yeah, this is really going to hurt us because the other countries all around the world they're actually creating and manufacturing electric vehicles at such an amazing clip that Joe Biden actually put in tariffs in place to actually slow down the import of other electric vehicles to give our manufacturers the ability to actually be able to build electric vehicles here in the U.S. Quicker, right, and without people actually buying them up. But he's going to end that. He also talked about how he is going to build cars in America. His whole thought process is we need to build more cars in America. The next point we have is new system, who this? He talked about how he's going to overhaul the trade system. He said there's going to be more tariffs and more taxes on foreign countries. He said he's going to establish the ERS, the External Revenue Services, to collect said taxes. And is it just me, or does anybody else think that when he starts talking about the ERS and how they're going to take care of the tariffs and the taxes, all I can think of is this is a new way to actually steal money. It's going to be something that's not regulated the right way. It's not tracked the right way. Countries are going to be able to do backdoor deals. It's going to be a whole thing. Speaking of backdoor deals, I mean, it's just my opinion, but China has now agreed that ByteDance should actually sell portions of TikTok. So that whole door is now open. I feel like there was a backdoor deal that was created not only with Donald Trump and ByteDance, but with China. It's a whole thing. Whatever. I think this is going to be another way that they're going to be able to actually get the money to change hands like that. And then also, I think that's another reason why they want Bitcoin to be such a big thing. But these are just my thoughts. This is nothing that I've substantiated. I don't have actual factual concrete proof for any of that. So with that being said, he also talked about Doge. Fun fact, Vivek Ramaswamy is no longer a part of Doge. Donald Trump as of yesterday, was champion Ramaswamy as, he's doing something with cost. But apparently Elon got Ramaswamy up out the paint. Ramaswamy is no longer a part of Doge. He's going to be running for governor of Ohio. He is not a part of Doge. Boom. Just that fast. Brown man, you're gone. You are no longer useful. You're gone. Yeah. Also, he talked about how he's going to sign executive orders to stop censorship and bring back free speech. I have no idea what he's talking about. Whatever. He talked about how how the state won't have. He talked about how the states won't have the power of justice. Really, what it is he's butthurt that New York was able to continue to prosecute him, and he couldn't get those the federal. I'm sorry, the felony charges dropped because they were state level, and he was upset about it. So, there's that. He then talked about bringing back law and order to the different cities. He said he wanted to end DEI. He also said that he wanted to make the country colorblind. We all know, me as a black man, I know if anyone says that I don't see color, you are the problem, because you're saying that you don't understand the struggles, the differences that I live as a black man in America versus, anyone else. That's like the dumbest thing ever for anyone to say they don't see color. Anyway, he said that he's going to do that, and it's going to be a merit-based system. He then also talked about the policy where he's already signed this executive order. I mean, again, he's been on it. He signed the executive order to actually declare that there are only two genders within the United States. There's only two genders. Dumb thing about doing that is you can sign an executive order all you want, but there are more than two genders. I would actually, if you guys want to find out more, the Trevor Project has a great article breaking down how many genders there are, what's the difference between genders and sex, what about pronouns. Like, this is a great article. What does it mean to be non-binary? Like, if you're interested and you want to actually equip yourself with education, please check out this article from the Trevor Project, right? This is just really great information. And the dumbest thing about this to me, and not only is it harmful, right, but just because you say, oh, there's only two genders, doesn't mean that there's only two genders. Doesn't work that way. Absolutely does not work that way. It works that way in Trump's head, but whatever. So he then talked about how he's going to reinstate soldiers who did not get the COVID vaccine, and not only is he going to reinstate them, but he's going to reinstate them with full back pay. You know what's interesting about that? When you join the military, you basically sign away your right to say no in certain situations. You agree to actually meeting set standards for the military, and if you don't meet those standards, then you are exiled from the military. Basically, what I got from this is that Donald Trump just signaled that it's okay to disobey commands. That's what I got from this. If he's reinstating those soldiers who would not comply and get the COVID vaccine, then he's saying it's okay to not comply with commands. That might be useful in the future. I don't know. Just a thought. What do you guys think? Am I wrong? YouTube, am I reaching? Twitch, am I reaching? Like, tell me. Yeah, guys, I will be back on TikTok soon. This is long-winded Donny review. This is only for Twitch and YouTube. This is not for the TikToks. I will be on TikTok tonight. Twitch, are you guys with me? I need to see some engagement in the chat with Twitch. If you're with me on the Twitch side, I need to see something. Can you guys drop something in the chat from the Twitch side and let me know that you're there? The chat isn't really moving. I see the YouTube chat moving. Twitch, don't let YouTube outdo you. YouTube is outshining Twitch right now. Also, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. If you are on the YouTube side, go ahead and hit the like. Make sure you're liking this. And if you're not following me on Blue Sky, on Twitch, or on YouTube, make sure you are following me on all of those. So yeah, it's weird. I think that he just signaled that you have the right to disobey orders in the military if he does that, if he goes through. He said that he also is signing an order to, quote unquote, protect warriors from radical political theories and social experiments while on duty. I have no idea what any of that means. I don't know what he's talking about, but I know he's giving some type of signal that he's going to do something that's messed up when it comes to the military and, equal rights. More than likely, it's something that he's going to do regarding transgender people. That's just my assumption. He then talked about what I like to call, I need a soldier. He said that he's going to build the military. He said it's going to be, the military is going to be based on wars won, wars ended, and never going to war. Those are going to be the three different criterias that he plans on actually basing our military off of. So let's see if that actually happens. He talked about how he wants to be a peacekeeper and a unifier. Fun fact, peacekeepers don't say that we're going to take Greenland. Peacekeepers don't say that we're going to take the Panama Canal, which we'll get to that in a minute. Peacekeepers don't say that we are owed X, Y, or Z. Peacekeepers don't say that we're going to expand our territory, which we'll get to that later. So that doesn't sound like a peacekeeper to me. He sounds like he's contradicting himself, but we'll see. Then he also mentioned that as of yesterday, the hostages were released from the Middle East as far as the ceasefire with Palestine and Israel. He's still trying to take credit for that. Again, he was not president. He does not get to take credit for that. I refuse to give him credit for the ceasefire. I won't. Absolutely not. Next thing I have is time to colonize, where he talked about changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Yes, he wants to still change the name to the Gulf of America. And then the next thing I have is, who is Donala? Yeah, so Donald Trump actually talked about changing the name back, restoring the name of, quote unquote, Mount McKinley from the former president William McKinley. And for anyone who is unaware of that story and what that actually boils down to, there is an amazing article that actually gives more information about that. I'm sorry, 1 second here. That gives more information about that. The AP News ran an article about it, how he vows to actually change the name. Basically, the name had been changed to recognize the indigenous people that were actually in the area in Alaska. It was actually changed for a specific reason, and Donald Trump is saying, F everybody else, I'm going to change it back. He has a weird thing about that, and that's his plan. But AP News, it ran an actual great article on that if you are interested in finding more information out about that. With that being said, he then moved on to how he's going to make the country rich through tariffs. It's weird how he speaks and he connects and he jumps and he bounces around. He likes to call it the weave. I like to call it a word salad. I like to call it cognitive dissonance, but whatever. So he talked about how he's going to make the country rich due to tariffs. Then he talked about what I like to call swiper no swiping. Again, he said he talked about the Panama Canal. He said the deal and treaty had been broken. Please remember these words, because I think that he's using these words for a specific reason. It wasn't just to actually say these words. He said all of these words with a specific reason. He said that the deal and the treaty had been broken, and he also talked about how China is now operating the Panama Canal, which is not true. The United States actually uses the Panama Canal more than any other country in the world, and he said that, quote unquote, we're taking it back. Hey chat, Twitch, YouTube, what does that sound like to you? We're taking it back. Does that sound like a declaration of war? Because right now the Panama Canal is not only owned by the Panamanian government, but it's an international waterway that's used by the entire world. We're taking it back. 1, sounds like force. 2, sounds like a declaration of war. So if I'm any country in the world that has access to the Panama Canal, because it's an international waterway, and he's saying he's going to take that away. YouTube, Twitch, am I wrong? Does that sound like a declaration of war? I thought he said he wanted to be a peacekeeper and a unifier. That doesn't sound so peaceful to me. That doesn't sound like unity to me. Yeah. The next thing I have here is stand up. He said that he had a message. He said the United States had to act with courage and vigor. Courage and vigor. That's exactly what he said that we have to do. He said that we have to end the disease epidemic. Again, I will give the devil his due when it is earned, and I agree. We do in the United States. We have a disease epidemic. We're unhealthy. Like, it's all connected. I don't know if he'll really address it. I don't have much faith in him, but he's right. He said that, again, this was an interesting quote. He said that we are a growing nation that will increase our wealth, expand our territories, and build our cities. Again, said that he was a peacekeeper, said that he was a unifier, but he's talking about expanding our territories. That sounds like he's looking to take something that is currently occupied or owned by other countries. No new wars, right? No new wars. That's what MAGA used to tell us. No new wars. And then he went on to continue to talk about how they're going to be launching astronauts to Mars to plant the flag of the United States on Mars. And then they cut to Elon Musk, and Elon Musk had this big dumb smile on his face. I mean, the goofiest, dumbest smile on his face. Yeah. So there's that. Then we have what I like to call next is it in you? He then talked about how ambition is the lifeblood of the nation, and we have to be ambitious, and that's what it's going to take to push the country forward. He then said what I like to call, back in my day, he talked about the founding fathers and the 13 colonies, and then he went through like the history of the country as far as like, making it through the country, and then going through the brave new land, and then ending slavery and creating the automobile, and the wild wild west, and splitting the atom. Like, he went through this whole shebang about how this is where we are, how we got to where we are, blah blah blah. But then he also talked about what I like to say, as you can see, I am not dead. I love the Black Panther. He said that he had the most historic political comeback ever. I am, again, not someone that is above criticizing, holding people accountable, saying that you're wrong, saying that you lied, but I'm also not above saying you're right. Donald Trump was right on this one. Donald Trump had the most historical political comeback ever. Whether I like it or not, he absolutely did. No one, when Donald Trump left office on January 20th, 2021, I never thought that he would stand behind the presidential seal again. Not after the way that he handled COVID, not after the way that he incited an insurrection, not after the way that he lied to people, not after the way that he left the country in the shape that he was in, not after the way that he continued to actually sue and delay and say things were stolen, not after the classified documents, not after like just the most insane stuff that came out of his mouth. I thought that Donald Trump politically would never stand behind the seal of the presidency again, and God damn it, today, January 20th, 2025, as of 12:01 p.m. Eastern, Donald Timothy Trump is the 47th president of the United States of America. 4 years later, after all the destruction, hurt, harm, the hatred, the lies, he's still here. Whether I like him or not, he did it. And that is historic. Spade is a spade. The next thing that he said that he also called out to never believe something is impossible that you can't do. He basically tried to say nothing's impossible. I don't know. He said it weird. I wrote it down weird. It was all weird. He then started to do what I have listed here as Dems do it better. He went through all these amazing cities. He talked about New York. He talked about LA. He talked about Miami. He talked about Philadelphia. He named all of these different cities, which are all Democrat-led cities, which is so funny that he did that because, again, why aren't we talking about like Birmingham, Alabama, or Charleston, South Carolina? Like, why aren't we talking about these Republican-led Tulsa, Oklahoma? Why aren't we talking about these cities? They're not so great. They're not so great. That's why. But whatever. He then moved on to what I like to call playing dress up. We know for a fact that Donald Trump loves to pretend to do normal jobs, and which, you know what, I don't even think I can blame him. I mean, he was born rich. He's been rich all his life. He's never had like a real job. And so for him, like being a truck driver and being a construction worker and being a firefighter and being, you know, a police officer, all of those are just like pretend jobs. And, you know, that's Halloween costumes. And so he went on to talk about playing dress up, and those, or what I like to call playing dress up, which is different jobs that he named out. And then he did something that I find super interesting, and I just want to call it out to MAGA. I want to call it out to MAGA, which is, what's a teleprompter? For all the MAGA folks who ragged on Kamala Harris for sounding the same and saying the same thing over and over, and she can't speak and blah, 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 I listened to Donald Trump's pre-inauguration rally last night. I listened to his inauguration speech today, and his closing remarks was a stump speech, which politicians do. Again, I don't have a problem with that. I understand what stump speeches are, but Donald Trump had a stump speech, and he went through his stump speech. He read off the teleprompter. You can tell that he was reading off the teleprompter. You can tell the speech was rehearsed. You can tell what was actually happening. He moved on to what I like to call winning. He talked about how much America's going to win. Again, he talked about that last night. He also threw something that was a little interesting in there, and it says a bad world. He said that the world is angry, violent, and more dangerous than ever. I wonder why. Also, fun fact, for anyone that's watching this, again, today is January 20th, 2025. Donald Jimothy Trump is officially the 47th president of the United States of America, and I will irrationally be saying to each and every Trump supporter, why hasn't Trump fixed it? I will expect Donald Trump to fix everything. I will have the most irrational understanding of everything. Why isn't gas prices down yet? Why are eggs still so high? Why is it that rent costs so much? Why is it that freaking we can't go and get something off the dollar menu in every single restaurant? Why? It's all, listen, I will be irrational for these next 4 years. I am going to hold MAGA to every single irrational thing that they tried to hold us to for these last 4 years. I'm also going to be making the most outlandish claims and telling MAGA to prove me wrong. I'm going to say stuff like, well, Kamala Harris would have already had a spaceship built to Jupiter. Prove me wrong. Donald Trump isn't building, a new river that goes through the desert. Why has Donald Trump not fixed the water problem in the desert yet? I'm telling you, I'm going to be completely irrational. I'm going to every single thing that MAGA has said and done for the last 4 years, I plan on doing it. We get to be the crazy ones now for the next 4 years, and I am leaning into it. I am leaning into it. Why hasn't Donald Trump fixed every single thing yet? You think I'm playing? Watch me on the old TikToks. Watch me on Blue Sky. Again, follow me on Blue Sky. Follow me on Twitch. Follow me on YouTube. Watch when I interact with Trump supporters, with MAGA moving forward. I promise you, I am going. You got to explain, why isn't more money in my check yet? Why haven't I started making more money yet? Why aren't my taxes gone? What is a tax? I I I don't have to know anything anymore. Donald Trump's in power. MAGA's in charge. You guys are the ones that have to know things. I just get to want things. I get to go for the next 4 years off my feelings. MAGA, for the next 4 years, you guys got to deal with the facts. Chat, am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong. Anyone in the chat, tell me if I'm wrong. Because now, for the next 4 years, MAGA's going to get a taste of their own medicine. We then moved on to what I like to call America. He talked about how the United States of America will be a free, sovereign, and independent nation. I could have sworn that we were already that, but whatever. And then last but not least, he closed out with something that I like to call slogans, right? His dumb catchphrases. It's not worth going through it. I'm not going to run through all the dumb catchphrases. Make America strong again, make America smart again, make America healthy again, blah, 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 blah. So he went on that whole tirade. So, yeah, that was Donald Trump's inauguration speech. I know that we have been on now for longer than his actual speech, but I'm sorry we had to break that down. Last but not least, one last thing that I want to leave you guys with is, again, I'm going to be holding Jimothy accountable. I'm going to be holding Jimothy accountable. I'm going to be holding MAGA accountable. I want shit done. I want results. I want results. With that being said, I have started to track, and I'm going to continue to track this month over month. I'm going to continue to track this month over month. This is my tracker. It's called In Trump's America. And we're going to take a look at every single month at the start of the month, the prices of everything. We're going to look at the average price of gas. We're going to look at the average price of eggs. We're going to look at the major wars. We're going to look at the inflation rate. We're going to look at climate events. We're going to look at what did he do? Hell, I'm sorry. We're going to add one more in. We're going to look at the current interest rates. I know the current, you know what? Let me go ahead and add this right now. I'm going to add this in right now. Do that. I know for a fact what the current interest rate is. The current interest rate, because I just looked it up last night, is 4.33, right? 4.33. I will link all of these have links. I will link the actual source of the actual interest rate, and we'll be able to actually track that. But over the next 4 years, every single month, we're going to take a look at it. So this is where Donald Trump is currently with inheriting things, right? The average gas price is $3.12 a gallon nationwide. The average egg price is $4.15 for a carton of eggs nationwide. The major war, we're still talking Ukraine, Russia. The interest rates, housing interest rates are 4.33%. The inflation rate is 2.9%. Climate event, he pulled out the Paris Climate Accords. He pulled us back out for a second time. And what did he do? He signed a shit ton of executive orders. A lot of executive orders. So that's where we are. That's where we are today, January 20th, 2025. Let's hold Trump accountable, because at the end of his tenure, not only do I need to see this going down month over month, but at the end of his tenure, everything needs to be better than where it is right now. And every single month, I'm going to track it. I will hold him accountable for his words. I will hold MAGA accountable for his words. I ain't letting shit slide. Yeah, I said it. Anyway, with that being said, guys, thank you for tuning in for another long-winded Donny review where we actually broke down the inauguration speech. You know what, guys, get used to these. We're going to have a lot more of these. Donald Trump, he loves himself some him. So he's going to be speaking a lot, whether it's press conferences, whether it's rallies, whether it's whatever. Donald Trump is not going to stop. And so we're going to keep breaking it down. I will see you all later. I will be back on TikTok tonight. Tonight we have Late Nights with Santana, our panel discussion. We will be streaming not only through TikTok, but we will be on Twitch and YouTube. If you are available on Twitch and YouTube, make sure that you tune in. We will be doing that at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. For the next 3 nights, we will have Late Nights with Santana, and then we get back to sparring with Santana after that, and I will be holding MAGA accountable. And then this weekend, we will have another edition of Brunch with My Creator. Special guest to be announced super soon. I love you guys. Make sure that you hit the like button. Make sure you follow me on all the social platforms, Blue Sky, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, all of that. I love you all. And as always, peace.